Hey, it's Saturday night. I just tried to record a Rogue One review and I got lost, so we're going to do it again. The second time's always a charm, right? So it's Saturday night, it's cold and snowy out, and I posted on my Facebook feed and a lot of other places that I had. It seems like I didn't like the movie, and I liked the movie, but as I talk about it here these next few moments, I will point out some things that I think could have been better. I want to start off by saying that I enjoyed the introduction. So you don't have the opening crawl, but you get to go to Jen Urso's parents' home. You get to see Jen Urso as a child, like you've seen in a lot of the trailers and the television spots, and seeing the Death Troopers. Incidentally, this is going to be a complete open. This is a spoiler video. So if you've not seen it, don't watch this thing. Come back to it. But anyway, so seeing the Death Troopers, they're coming to get her dad because he's the one who can help finish the Death Star. Just that whole scene at the beginning was awesome. Now, if they wanted to add a crawl, they could have added the crawl after that. And I suspect maybe the reason they didn't want to put a crawl in because they had that backstory and they weren't sure how to fit it in. But they could have pulled a Marvel or a James Bond where you have a little bit of a mini whatever, do the introduction. So you could have done a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, cut to that, and then hit the Rogue One thing, and it needed to have Star Wars music too. So with that, and incidentally, I've watched John Camp. The only reviews I've watched so far in Rogue One have been John Campion Dennison's Facebook spoilers discussion yesterday, and then I watched the Collider video non-spoiler discussion a few days ago. So I've not seen any other reviews. These are completely mine. But they could have, onto the crawl thing, they could have put the crawl there after they did the Jen Urso backstory. They could have opened it up with Rogue One. And incidentally, they did say that sign for Rogue One, John and Dennis said it was kind of cheesy looking. I thought so too. They could have done it, but they could have had Star Wars. And even though this is not a part of the trilogy, you know what? It's still a part of the universe. It's still a part. I'm convinced they put these Rogue One movies and these other Han Solo movies to help support the prequels, of which people have not liked. And the more movies you can put with the prequels and get close to them, the more maybe people appreciate the prequels. So that said, I love the introduction, and then I love the character development of Jen, and I love the Magnificent Seven feel of the other characters that come along. And incidentally, I'm terrible with names, and that's kind of the things with Rogue One. There's so many new names and faces. Where it was before Han Solo, Princess Leia, even with the Force Awakens, there were few names. Here, there's so many different characters that are banding together to fight the evil Empire, and I really appreciated the worlds that were in this movie. I thought all of them were well shot, well put together. They didn't look kind of quirky like this video, or like the prequel worldviews. I thought that the planets and the little caption down below about what that planet was and what it meant was phenomenal. I love the you got the feeling, the scope of how much the Empire has grown since the prequels. And I've not seen Rebels. I've not seen the other animated series, so I don't have anything to go on there. But I just really appreciated the scope and the magnitude as to what's going on here, and how overwhelming and how burdensome the Empire is to so many people, and how they're just going from planet to planet and just taking and changing people's lives. And that's the other thing I loved about this movie, is that I'm being told to restart my computer, but I'll do that later on. We'll do it tonight. Okay, so the creatures in this movie are amazing, and I love that as well. They've said that George Lucas, I think John or Dennis mentioned yesterday in their video that the creatures that we got in this world were the creatures that George Lucas really wanted. That with 1977 technology, you can't do that. With the prequels, it seems like maybe he went way too far to the other extreme. But with this Rogue One, they really did a good job of keeping these creatures feeling real. And the crowded city streets and seeing the Imperials and seeing those other people who are trying to rise up to do something about this was pretty neat. And then how they all kind of the tension within the rebels, the various factions, and the complexity with which decisions have to be made. The other main male character, I should know this person's name, who is asked to kill Jen Erso's father because of they think he is maybe defected. Jen Erso's father, he's captured by the Imperials to go and help him finish the Death Star, and so he's being told to once you see him to essentially kill him. And a lot of this movie is Jen and him and the others trying to find him, to try to rescue him, obviously to figure out where the Death Star plans are at. And I love the emotional. That's the thing about this neat movie, is that the Jen, the emotion of her, the strength of her, the combination of the both. I love the robot art. K2 whatever. I thought his lines were phenomenal, fantastic. They were very much enjoyable. What else? I'm saying a lot of us tonight. That's because I'm feeling so laid back and relaxed. What else do I want to say initially? I thought the story, it's a slow paced Star Wars movie. George Lucas's opinion has always been that you should make it fast paced, and even with the prequels, he kind of went against his philosophy on it. There are some times in this movie drags. This is a movie that's really for the hardcore, diehard Star Wars fan. So those who have read Catalyst, which I have not, and have watched Rebels, which I have not, those of you who have done those things are going to really appreciate this. The Kyber crystal thing, that's what the lightsabers are made of, and that's what they're trying to mine to help to power the Death Star, to give the Death Star its power. And so that's one of the big parts of this movie, is getting the Kyber crystal, to mining it out and doing whatever you got to do to power the Death Star. I do want to talk about the Imperial tension, if you will, between Tarkin. I like the Tarkin character, and the CGI, it was... Part of me just kind of wishes that while it didn't look awful, that maybe we would have just had his back. So the first thing that you see him, you see his back, and then maybe had some hologram stuff there. I think that could have been okay. But with him, if you just go to that, and what I was going to try to say a minute ago, the tension within the Empire of trying to one up, if you will, to climb the ranks, it's kind of a dirty game. And so him and that other general whose name I've forgotten, who ends up dying, you got to see that dynamic play, and I love that. I enjoyed that. What else do I want to say real quick? I think I'm going to go ahead and delve into some of the issues I had with the movie. The big battle scene at the end is phenomenal. I love the spaceships there. They were fantastic. The fighting was fantastic. The movie score was terrible. And I'm starting to give them a little bit of grace here, because I understand that they only had a few weeks to work on this score. Because the score, there were so many reshoots and everything that the composer really didn't have a chance to put maybe his best foot forward. And I think it shows, because there are two scenes, the battle in the space and the battle on that tropical planet with where the plans are. There are no musical changes with those scenes. There are no musical shifts as new spaceships come into the scene. There's no musical change when the two Star Destroyers crash into each other, and the other one starts diving into the... If I thought correctly, it started diving into the planet. And incidentally, we didn't get to see that because it showed it in the TV commercials, but we never got to see that. So music's such an important part of Star Wars, and that's why you harp on it. Again, I want to give him grace because he only had so much time, but I did feel the beginning theme and the battle theme were probably the most important musical pieces you could have. So, it is what it is with that. Let me get to Darth Vader. I love the introduction to Darth Vader when he's in the bathtub, and I guess he's bathtub, whatever that is that treats and cares for him. So he has his stuff off, his black uniform, whatever keeps him going, and there's a hooded figure that comes in there. Some people have said it maybe a Snoke or some Darth Plagueis. It may just be some dude who's caring for him. Caring, and not in this rockabye baby sense, but just, taking care of whatever he does for him. I enjoyed that scene with him and the general. I thought that was okay. The humor I didn't mind too much. You can definitely tell that James Earl Jones is aging. And see, there seems to be another scene that I forgot in the last video before the scene I want to talk about. Would have been nice to have seen him and Tarkin in a scene together. Since I cannot remember the scene since I can't remember the other scene, let me jump to the big scene, and that's where he kills all the rebels. It was a great scene. Don't get me wrong, it was awesome. But one of the big drawbacks to this movie is I don't think Vader was used enough and well enough. So I understand they want to introduce the new characters, they want to bring them on board, but they should have at least done one shot with one of the major characters. So we know they all die, but at least pick one scene and one scenario that where maybe Vader has a meaningful dialogue. The gentleman who was blind, or it was the Mendelsohn character. It was suggested that they knew he was Anakin from maybe some of the comic books or something. Doing something like that, having a little bit of a meaningful dialogue, would have been just made the movie all that better, much better. And so I wanted Darth Vader not to be in space and just killing those guys, but to actually come down on the planet, because it just builds up the intensity of what's going on. You're like thinking, oh man, Jen, and they're gonna get captured by Darth Vader, and even if they don't, just having that threat there makes it feel more like Predator. My nose is itchy, but anyway. How Jen and the gentleman in this movie, I'm switching up a little bit. How Jen and the gentleman in this movie died on the planet there, it felt like the movie Pompeii, So the Death Star blows up one of the cities, and we have this big tsunami kind of thing going on with it, and they don't show that part, they just kind of cut away, but it does have that if you've seen the movie Pompeii, it kind of has that same feeling to it. And now let me get to the other thing I did not care for, and that was the Princess Leia thing. I did not like that at all whatsoever. I've heard that was her daughter, and I kind of suspected that when I went in and saw it, that was her daughter, but the line is terrible. And she has this cheesy grin on her face like this, and she says, oh, there's hope, we have hope. And why that does not work is because the folks have already seen how deadly this Death Star could be, and there needs to be a sense of urgency there that is broken with that line there. It's like she doesn't really get what's going on, and I just think there could have been a better way to end it. So you want to connect it with the New Hope? That's great. All you need to do is have a scene with a Star Destroyer chasing a Rebel blockade runner somehow. And that's the thing I didn't capture. Maybe upon my second viewing I'll see it. I don't understand how the Rebel blockade, the Death Star, or the Star Destroyer and the Rebel blockade runner were so. I don't remember seeing it tractor beamed in or anything, and so that throws me off a little bit. And again, that's where music could help. Now I saw a Star Destroyer coming on the scene after the other two had collided. I suspected that was Darth Vader's, but there was nothing really there to really indicate that was his. So maybe again I'm missing something with my viewing of it. That maybe that blockade runner was tractor beamed in, and I just didn't catch it. I'll look for it on my next viewing. So that's about what I have with it. It's a good movie. It's long. Some have said that the director from this in the Godzilla movie, the same tendencies are there. Great battle scenes and just very long, dragged out stuff in between. They could have cut and shortened that up a little bit, but it's a B I have to say, I think it's a C because my expectations, the TV did such a great job of promoting this thing, and I feel the TV ads. There's so many good scenes. I know you can't have every scene in a movie. It just seemed like there were so many good scenes in the TV ads that were not in the movie. Like for instance, the ad at Walkers. They're chasing the rebels, and then the rebels turn around and they start retreating it towards it because maybe there's something else coming on the other side of it. Maybe that's Darth Vader. And another couple of the TV ads. Oh, the TIE fighter that when Jen's on the bridge there, where ultimately she's getting the plans to be able to beam him up to the ship. And you see the TIE fighter show up there. They cut that out too, and I'm not sure why, but maybe that would have been Darth Vader. Who knows? So anyway, that's my review of it. And if you have any comments or questions or would like to dispute something, and I may change my mind on the second viewing. So you have a good night. Bye.